Mangwana ni mwalelepo Fukenjani Klekwas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. The news and current affairs show that remains your portal into Africa's most potent stories. You are joined by Ashwin Mberi, and these are some of the stories we'll be looking at, including Talent Gore joining us from Zimbabwe with the Zimbabwe Report. 5 Ebola survivors leave hospital as DR Congo marks recovery milestone. Ethiopia votes amid conflict as millions face exclusion from election. Peter Obi confirms Nigeria presidential bid after opposition alliance splits. International partners call for dialogue as Somalia political tensions grow. UK prevails in legal battle over cancelled Rwanda asylum agreement. And we'll also be talking about the brand new FIFA World Cup ball, which is the most technologically advanced ball. Who knew? Some of us grew up wrapping plastics and newspapers together in the street, and that was enough. But for the World Cup, you're going to need more than that. This is Africa. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Top stories shortly.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises. From artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative sport tourism.
Into our top stories. Health authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo are celebrating 5 patients who had Ebola recovered and were discharged from hospital. The current outbreak is suspected to have killed almost 250 people, but officials continue to stress that infected individuals can recover and should seek medical help if they believe they have contracted the virus. On Sunday, 4 nurses were discharged from a hospital in Bunia, the provincial capital of Ituri, and the epicenter of the outbreak. World Health Organization Chief Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus told them they were living proof that the outbreak could be stopped. Nurse Etienne Ezo said he and others had been demoralized and believed they would die, describing isolation as a difficult experience. The first survivor, a laboratory worker, left the hospital last week. DR Congo's Institute of Public Health described the recoveries as evidence of effective field interventions, including early detection, medical care, contact tracing, and community engagement. Director Dr. Mwamba Kazadi called the recoveries a victory worth celebrating and said strong care makes a difference. Polls have opened in Ethiopia's general election as conflict continues in parts of the country, preventing many people from voting. The entire northern region of Tigray has been excluded from the election as it continues recovering from a civil war that ended in 2022. This is Ethiopia's 7th election since the downfall of the military regime in 1991. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is expected to remain in power if his Prosperity Party secures enough parliamentary seats to form the next government. Veteran opposition politician Professor Merera Gerdina said his party was participating symbolically to avoid deregistration, describing the election as the least competitive in recent history. Critics accuse Abiy's government of suppressing dissent and arresting rivals, while supporters argue he has transformed the country through economic reforms and development projects. Conflict continues in Amhara and Oromia, where insurgencies have caused thousands of civilian deaths and displaced hundreds of thousands. Tensions also remain high in Tigray, where disagreements involving the TPLF and the federal government have deepened. Despite these challenges, more than 50.5 million people have registered to vote in the Ethiopian election. Now, Nigerian politician Peter Obi said he will run for president again after securing his party's nomination, setting up another contest involving incumbent Bola Tinubu and a divided opposition. Obi was declared the winner of the Nigeria Democratic Congress primary less than a month after leaving an alliance that had attempted to unite opposition parties behind a single challenger. Obi came third in the last election after attracting strong support from young voters. His decision to accept the nomination has reduced hopes among some opposition supporters that he might return to the coalition. The development sets the stage for a repeat of the three-way contest seen in 2023 and is expected to test whether frustration over rising living costs and insecurity can translate into votes against Tinubu. In a statement, Obi said insecurity must be addressed with urgency because no nation can thrive while citizens live in fear. Nigeria continues to face multiple security challenges, while voters are also expected to focus on economic reforms defended by Tinubu, despite pressure on household incomes and savings. Now, the international community has expressed concern about Somalia's political situation and is urging the government and opposition to resume dialogue and reach agreement on the country's electoral roadmap. In a joint statement issued on Monday, Somalia's international partners said they stand ready to support and facilitate Somali-led talks if necessary. The statement called on all sides to return to discussions as soon as possible and swiftly reach consensus on an election roadmap. Political leaders were urged to prioritize national interests and avoid actions that could escalate tensions during what was described as a sensitive period. The statement was issued by the European Union delegation to Somalia, the United Nations Transitional Mission in Somalia, and the embassies of Austria, Belgium, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. The appeal comes as disagreements intensify between government and opposition figures over the future direction of Somalia's political system. Opposition groups are reportedly planning a major protest on the 4th of this month, adding uncertainty to an already fragile political environment across that country. The United Kingdom will not be required to pay Rwanda millions of pounds over the collapsed asylum agreement that was cancelled shortly after Keir Starmer took office, following a ruling by an international court. Rwanda had sought more than £100 million, arguing that the United Kingdom had breached the terms of the agreement. The deal, signed by the previous Conservative government, was designed to see asylum seekers who arrived illegally in the United Kingdom sent to Rwanda for processing. Lawyers representing the United Kingdom argued that it was logical for the plan to be scrapped after Labour came to power and that no further payments were due. Rwanda's Minister of Justice and Attorney General Emmanuel Shebuja told the court that Rwanda had incurred significant costs preparing for the partnership and had not been informed in advance that the deal would be abandoned. Former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak promoted the scheme as a deterrent to illegal crossings. Following the ruling, the United Kingdom government said it had robustly defended its position and remained focused on border reforms as well as removals. All right, those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we will be joined by Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe Report. In a world where politicians promise the moon and deliver potholes, where democracy sometimes arrives in camouflage and ballots often look like formalities, one show dares to laugh with Africa, at Africa, and sometimes for Africa. This is Second Take, your weekly dose of political satire with an African soul and a global edge. From coups disguised as press briefings to ministers moonwalking past accountability, we serve the real news with sharper writing. Each week we bring you the TikTok of the week because sometimes the revolution is vertical and the heartwarming moment moment of the week to remind us that not everything is burning. We also sit down with the bold, the brilliant, and the brave, voices that question power, stir thought, and spark laughter. Because when the headlines are wild, the leaders are louder, and the truth is lost in translation, we all need a second take. It's time for us to talk to Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe Report. Talent Homkase.
Tamuka dugana mamka se Africa.
Tamuka hedu. Now, Talent, Zimbabwe has banned foreigners from small-scale gold mining. Please tell us more about that.
Yes, Zimbabwe has with immediate effect reserved the small-scale gold mining sector exclusively for citizens and citizen-owned companies, while simultaneously declaring gold, diamond, lithium, and a range of other minerals as strategic or critical assets subject to new state controls. The measures, which were announced by the Mines Minister, Polite Kambomura, represent the most sweeping overhaul of Zimbabwe's mining regulatory framework in recent years, affecting both small operators and major foreign investors across multiple mineral categories. The new policy on participation in the small and medium-scale gold mining sector states that no foreign individual, foreign-controlled company, or foreign beneficial owner will be permitted to acquire, hold, and control any mining title in the small-scale gold category. The ban also extends to indirect participation through tribute agreements, joint ventures, syndicates, or partnerships. For purpose of the policy, small and medium scale gold mining is defined as operations producing up to 20 kilograms of gold per month and or carrying capital investment of up to 15 million United States dollars. Foreign operators currently active in the sector have been given until January 1, 2027 to regularize their operations, but only through upscaling, not through divestiture. The ministry requires them to increase production beyond 20 kilograms per month and or recapitalize beyond the 15 million United States dollar threshold, thereby qualifying for operating under the large-scale mining framework, which remains open to foreign investments. The policy explicitly targets fronting and proxy arrangements, stating that nominee arrangements, proxy ownership structures, undisclosed beneficial ownership arrangements, or other mechanisms intended to hide behind this policy shall be unlawful and subject to cancellation and enforcement action. All existing operators, local and foreign, are required to re-register with the ministry by the same date, that is 1 January 2027, submitting to citizenship and beneficial ownership verification, disclosure of corporate and financial structure, and confirmation of compliance with environmental, tax, and labor laws. The ministry has also moved to localize the management of gold mines, requiring that senior and middle management staff across the gold sector and other mining operations be constituted of 98% Zimbabweans. And the ministry said it expects this policy whereby the management and middle management is required to be Zimbabweans is expected to take precedence with immediate effect. So right now, the small scale mining sector in Zimbabwe has been reserved for citizens, and foreigners are now required to regularize and to also upscale their operations.
Now, Talent, in a story which is harrowing, South Africa has seized nearly 1 billion rand in a drug haul at Beitbridge.
Yes, the South African Border Management Authority has intercepted a consignment of drugs, rather, with nearly 1 billion rand at the Beitbridge border post. The consignment traveled through Zimbabwe, accompanied by Malawi nationals. South African Home Affairs Minister described the seizure as likely as the single biggest breakthrough against the drug trade in South African history. The operation was coordinated through the BMA's National Targeting Center, which identified a truck traveling through Zimbabwe towards a Beitbridge. Officers were already in position when the vehicle arrived. The truck was put through the sophisticated truck scanner on site, which detected a hidden compartment. Well, this was said by the Home Affairs Minister. BMA officers spent 8 hours dismantling the vehicle before uncovering a substance confirmed to be methaqualone, also known as ABA, commonly used in the manufacture of madrax. A total of 713,000 grams of the substance was seized, with an estimated value of 998.2 million rand, which is about 60.4 United States dollars. The Hawks and the K9 units were called to the scene, and 3 Malawi nationals were arrested and taken to Messina police station, where the Hawks will conduct further investigations. The minister said the bust demonstrated that the combination of intelligence-led investigation, digital transformation, and the commitment of the BMA is systematically rebuilding the rule of law at our borders.
So, Talent, Zimbabwe has spent $27 million. Now, if I leave the statement there, some people might be assuming that we are talking about the Tagure wedding, which was attended by a lot of Zimbabwean elite, including the president, which had gifts of over $20 million US, in spite of Zimbabweans being asked to make use of the ZiG currency. But actually what I'm talking about is Zimbabwe using $27 million of the sugar tax fund for radiotherapy machines.
Yes, ever since Zimbabwe introduced the sugar tax, Zimbabwe has spent 27 million United States dollars, which was raised through the sugar tax on the first phase of a major cancer equipment procurement program aimed at transforming diagnosis and treatment services in public hospital. The latest consignment includes 2 high-capacity multi-energy radiotherapy machines weighing about 22 tons, which are expected to significantly strengthen the country's cancer treatment capacity. The equipment is part of a broader program funded through the sugar content tax introduced in the 2024 national budget, a move that government says is already delivering tangible benefits to the health sector. Speaking during a tour of the perinatal group of hospitals, Health and Childcare Minister, who is going to be addressing just now in a video, said that Zimbabwe had already received the first batch of radiotherapy equipment and installation was now underway. According to Dr. Mombeshora, Zimbabwe currently has a backlog of approximately 800 cancer patients waiting for treatment, a challenge he believes will be significantly reduced once the new equipment becomes fully functional. Now, here is Dr. Mombishora, who is the Minister of Health and Childcare in Zimbabwe, addressing members of the press during a tour yesterday of a perinatal group of hospital where one of the cancer machines is being installed.
All right, Honorable Minister, how much money has been disbursed? How much money have you used so far to buy the cancer machines, and how many have been bought so far?
Oh, thank you very much. So far, in the first phase, we procured 4 machines. 2 are multi-energy and 2 are low energy. This is the low energy machine which you are seeing here. The total cost came to about 27 million. 1 low energy machine and one multi-energy machine will be installed here at Parinyatwa, and the other 2 will be installed at Mpilo Hospital in Bulawayo. There are also 2 CT scans machines which are which help in the treatment planning. One will be installed here and another one in Mpilo. So this is this first phase. In the second phase, we are procuring mainly diagnostic machines which will aid in the diagnosis of cancers. Because if cancers are diagnosed early, treatment is most likely to be very successful. Currently, most of our cancers are diagnosed late, usually 3rd or 4th stage, which is very difficult to manage. So we are now expecting quite a number of machines, MRI scans, other CT scans. We're going to have a CT scan in every central hospital and a CT scan in every provincial hospital. We are also bringing in some more advanced X-ray machines, ultrasound scanning machines, just to mention a few. We are also having brachytherapy machines for treatment of cervical cancer and also for treatment of prostate cancer. So I think our cancer treatment centers are actually going to be much, much more improved. We've got a
Well, that was Dr. Mombishora, who is the Minister of Health and Childcare. You understand that for quite a long time, Zimbabwe has or had been operating with faulty cancer machines, and this is a step towards actually revitalizing the health sector, especially when it comes to cancer patients. Most of them had to go to the private sector where prices are exorbitant for them. So the government procuring these cancer machines rather for the public hospitals in Zimbabwe is quite commendable. But you also find out that most people are now asking why government had to spend 27 million. They are saying that these machines, the amount that the government is saying is too much, and some are saying that those prices, they are just not believable. But at the moment, it is quite commendable that the government managed to procure these machines for Zimbabweans.
Thank you, Talent, for delivering that comprehensive Zimbabwe report.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good to have you on Africa Good Morning. DSTV285 GOTV 25 oneup2.com, Network Media Hub, and NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA. Those are the places that you can always find the show. Tomorrow, we will be joined by Rorisang Mohojwe as he delivers the Botswana report from Gaborone. But for now, from me, Ashwin Berry, and the AGM team, Swera Zwaganaka.